This is a 1998 Chevrolet K2500 Cheyenne pickup, and we're going to take a look at replacing the intermediate steering shaft due to a worn rag joint. So in this particular vehicle, we've already pulled out the steering gear, and you can see on the joint here, the reason we're replacing this is very loose. You can move it with your finger. And what this translates into on the inside of the cab is the steering wheel will have 4 or 5, maybe even more inches of play before it actually engages the steering box. So this complete unit is what we're going to be replacing here from GM. And after you remove this bolt in a steering gearbox itself, there's an 11mm bolt that I've already taken off here that clamps this down onto the front of the input of the steering gear. And then back on the back here, this particular vehicle's got a 5.7 liter gasoline fueled engine. Be a little bit different for the 6.5 liter diesel. There's a harness that you can get out of the way here. And then we'll see right behind here there's a bolt that's holding this on, a bolt and a nut. And that's held on by a 15mm nut. We're going to take that off. That bolt and nut will come off, and we'll remove this entire intermediate shaft as an assembly. So I'm going to pause this and remove this nut. Okay, we've got this bolt and nut assembly off here. I was mentioning this was a 15mm. This is what you've got. You got this bolt with a retainer on it, and then you got a 15mm nut on the back. And that's what's retaining this intermediate shaft to the steering column itself. So once you get that nut out, this guy separates straight out, just like this. And you can remove the whole thing as an assembly. And we mentioned before, the whole reason we went through this was this worn out rag joint here. Now you can get a kit in most stores where if you drill out these rivets, you can put in a new insulator pad in here, and then they'll have bolts to replace it, and that's one way to do this repair. But I prefer to replace these the way GM intended, with a part from General Motors. So what I've got here is the correct part for this vehicle. If you can see this, some stuff on the outside here, but this is a GM 26033170 intermediate steering shaft. So I'm going to remove this from the box here. You can see what we end up having is the same part that we took off, but this is all new. It's very firm. You got to give it a lot of grip to get it to wiggle around. This is what you want to get rid of that play. Reassembly is very straightforward. Same thing. We're going to insert this back into the steering coupler. We're going to reinstall that nut and 15mm bolt. Then we're going to pull down this collapsible portion. This is a collapsible in case the vehicle's in an accident. We're going to slide this guy back on the input shaft of the steering gear. It's flat on the top. You should have the flat side of the steering gear input connector ready to mate up with this guy. And after you get him into position, you're going to bolt him back down with this 11mm bolt. Put a little red Loctite on here. It's not something you want coming off when you're cruising down the highway. And that'll complete this repair. And you'll get rid of the slop in your steering column. Hope this helps you out. Thanks a lot for watching.